action, we've had the martial arts, we've had the rats, we've had the raw, we've had the pass-outs. Yeah, oh my God. Okay, so let me just recap what happened with Raw Pass-Out Mania, okay? Okay, so my friend James took one picture of the back of the ambulance and put it on Twitter. Ambulance at screening of Raw. Boom, blows up. Yeah, that picture went everywhere. Hollywood Reporter, I was out for dinner last night with one of the directors up in the annex, and on the TV, he's like, we're still talking about it. We're going on and on. But the really fun thing is the head of publicity for Raw, his name is Ryan Warner. He's a great guy, and he was quoted in the Hollywood Reporter. Well, anyways, it was all about this story. I filled out an event yesterday, my phone is blowing up. They're like, Ryan Warner says it was a hoax. I'm like, that's bullshit, because we saw people who were under distress outside. That was not, I feel so bad. It was so like how? And then I looked at it further. Jezebel, the website, wrote this article saying, Ryan Warner confirmed in an email that it was staged. Bullshit, what the hell? And then further things developed, but this story got picked up and went everywhere, went like Jezebel, anywhere, What the reporter for Jezebel did was, she found a guy on Twitter whose name was, It's Ryan Warner. Look up at Ryan Warner's thread, because he's like, so yesterday, a reporter contacted me and asked me about this. I'm not a film professional, but I'm a troll. At no point did she ever ask, are you the Ryan Warner who was quoted in Hollywood Reporter? So that's how media is working nowadays. Wrong! Anyways, but people have been asking me, we had zombies last night, people have been asking me, well, where are the morgue movies? I haven't seen one morgue scene in Midnight Madness this year. Well, that's changing tonight. Because you guys are going to be going deep inside a beautiful young woman and discover the mystery in the autopsy of Jane Doe. And I'd like to introduce to you the director of Troll Hunter, the director of the autopsy of Jane Doe, André Øvredal. Come on out! Meet your audience! Do you have some friends you'd like to bring in?
Oh, absolutely. I have the writers here. Jane Doe with the written name. And one of the producers, Fred Berger, who also produced La La Land. I know that our stars, Brian Cox and Emil Hirsch, would have loved to be here. However, they are so busy. Obviously, as you realize, they're movie stars.
And hopefully we'll have them back next year. That's the thing. Hopefully they're making good, gross, scary stuff like this, or are they?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So we will be back for the Q&A. So welcome and meet your audience.
Thank you. So excited to be here in Toronto Film Festival, and I heard about you guys for years. We dreamed about having this crowd for our movie to premiere. This is the world premiere of the movie. I really hope you enjoy it.
Good throw.
We're ready to go.
So I gotta just start off. Where have you been? Like I love Troll Hunters, and what was the journey to arrive that took you from that film to this one?
Things take time. I mean, this movie alone took a couple of years, obviously. I've been working on various projects and I'm still developing. Some that didn't pan out, and this one fortunately did.
And how did you come to encounter Ian and Neil's script? Original script, sorry.
I was sent it by my agents, and I was like, I lay down in bed one night, and I read through it in 45 minutes, the fastest I've ever been anywhere near reading a script, and I was like terrified. I was like, I have to do this movie, and I called the producers and pitched my way of making it, and fortunately they liked it. So, but it was like the most awesome read. It was so scary.
And to the writers, where did this idea come from? Because I think it's a great premise to sort of contain a story to a single location and specifically have a mystery play out across a human body. I think that's a really neat idea.
Well, it was autobiographical. It was a really dark night Richard and I had together. For me. No, but I mean that was kind of what inspired us too. Is we love the idea of doing something really contained, limiting ourselves to one location. We always knew sort of the core idea was we wanted to center a story around an autopsy, and then as we started to research autopsies more, just this idea of the deeper you cut, the more you find out, and we wanted that to apply emotionally to the father-son story as well.
And being just lovers of the genre, you always see scenes set in the morgue, scenes with the coroner, but it's always just a scene. And so we were like, there's something there that's fun that we can explore, and it just seemed like kind of perfect setup.
In terms of research, did you guys get to observe an actual autopsy? Also, André, did you as well?
Unfortunately, I didn't. I tried a couple times, but it was pretty tricky to get in. Very sensitive in Europe. I think it's easier in America.
No, Frank.
We didn't see an actual autopsy in person, but we did go to the LA County morgue.
Thanks to our awesome producers, got us a tour with Craig Harvey, the head coroner.
And we saw a room with hundreds and hundreds of dead bodies, which is one of the most surreal things I've ever seen in my life. And so that fueled the fire even more for us.
And speaking of autopsy scenes, I just kind of I'd be curious, André and the writers and even the producer, do you guys were there scenes in films that you kind of had thought about and as being like, okay, that's a great autopsy scene, and that's the kind of stuff that we want to try and top or match the quality of?
Directorially, I think there are definitely scenes, like in Seven, I know there's a great autopsy scene, and generally there is a link to that movie visually because it's a film that has a lot of standing over bodies, and there's a visual language that fit this film, so that is definitely an inspiration, generally.
I mean, for us too, certainly the scene in Silence of the Lambs and The Thing was also a big one for us.
The references. André, can you tell us about the Jane Doe herself? How that effect was achieved, both as a combination, I'm assuming a combination of an actress and a prosthetic?
Yeah, most of the time it's the actress, Olga Kelly. And in a lot of the shots, obviously when we're really tearing her apart, it's obviously a prosthetics. But it's a combination of sometimes layering her on top of the prosthetics again in post-production. It's like every conceivable way of working with this has been used in the film. It's an extensive amount of special effects work.
Multiple sort of variations of the cadaver, or were you working from one sort of, like, I just know that sometimes when you make movies, you can only afford like one thing, and if it goes up in flames.
It's true. For the flame sequence, we actually burned a black doll, and then we layered the prosthetic version, and then layered her on top of that again in post-production, and then layered more flames on top of that again. So it took like months, literally, on our budget level.
Wow. All right, do we have questions from the audience? Right there.
I just wanted to ask about the soundtrack, and specifically that Let the Sunshine In.
The question's about the soundtrack. Was that a song from the script? When did that song enter the...
I'll speak to that a little bit because my producing partner, Eric Garcia, who also wrote Matchstick Men, is an accomplished writer in his own right. He's a twisted fucker, and we needed a song. Ian and Richard knew there was a song that had to come on the radio. We couldn't find which one, and he immediately, within 10 seconds, sent us an MP3, and that was the song. But it was with like the Chipmunks singing it, so it was like 10 octaves higher and a little bit faster, and it was in the script and it never changed. And then we shot it and set it to that, and then we had to go get the rights to it. And luckily, you con them into it, I bet, after a year of persuading. But yeah, it's all Eric Garcia.
Other questions? Yes, right there.
Yeah, to the writers, why the decision to deprive the protagonist of any retribution and instead make him a victim along with like all the other junkers potentially?
Why? The question was about why our heroes aren't able to achieve any retribution and thus become victims in the cycle of Jane Doe.
They tried. I mean, even though they didn't survive, they died valiantly.
I mean, also, I think for us, as we were writing it, we started to realize that it was really a movie about victimization in a way, and so to transform the protagonists into victims as well and have them truly feel the way that Jane Doe had felt her entire existence was really important to us.
Do you feel, as writers, and also André, you can speak to this too, that they got the furthest than anyone else had ever gotten in terms of understanding the situation?
I would say so, yeah.
Us too.
What I'd say is we always talk about the movie as a feminist film. The antagonist becomes the protagonist in a way.
Do we have other questions from the audience? Yes, right back there. Did you guys shoot in the UK?
We did shoot in the UK because it's the furthest place from the financier, so there's less creative notes.
It's a handy film.
Just kidding, partially. It's a great place to shoot, and Romania seemed like less of a fun place to hang out for a few months. And the real reason is honestly, there's a lot of genre movies that are made, and we approach this script from a place of how can we make a genre movie that hits all the beats, that gives all the fun scares and thrills that hopefully you guys felt today, without feeling derivative and felt a bit more original. So part of that was let's go shoot a movie set in Virginia, but shoot it in London and bring an art house crew. Our DP shot Pride and Prejudice and Bonnie's films, and all our crew had never worked on a horror movie before, and so they brought a different edge to it and a different perspective. And I think, hopefully, and that was a big part. Working with André, we felt incredibly lucky as fans of his first film, and also his approach to cinema felt much more, how can we make a beautiful, tense movie as opposed to a horror movie? And we hoped that then it would be scary and effective. And so London was kind of a weird part of that philosophy, and hopefully it paid off.
There's a question right there.
Is there something that Brian Cox wouldn't do for the movie?
Was there? The question was there anything that you asked of Brian Cox that he said, "No, I'm not going to do that"?
Yeah, actually, there was, but I don't
Turn off your
phone. No, there was a moment that he refused to do. No, he loved the character and he protected the character through the whole process. Also against suggestions that he felt was out of character. So it was actually really a great thing the whole way to have actors who really believe in who they are as humans in the film.
And how did Brian and Emil come to be involved in the film?
We asked them and they loved the script, and we were just lucky.
Yes, right there.
So with the whole sort of witchcraft
So the question's about witchcraft and the research that you conducted in sort of laying out, I guess, all the sort of elements of what happened to her in her body.
We did. I mean, again, that was where both our own research and also going to the LA County morgue and learning how autopsies were conducted. I mean, we kind of knew where we wanted to go with the mystery, what the big reveal was going to be, and then it was just about how to do it in the most interesting and really specific way. So it was looking up different kinds of paralyzing flowers and what can she have under her nails that's not just dirt, that's a more specific dirt that points to New England. And the bit with the corset and her ribs not in sync with the rest of her body. So our Google search histories are probably a terrible place to look.
Right over there.
Was it difficult casting an actress as a dead body?
Was it difficult casting an actress?
It was a rigorous search.
Well, yeah, I mean, she has to portray a lot of things without actually doing anything. She has to be kind of scary, you have to feel for her. She has to be ethereal in some way. There is so many requirements without her being able to perform anything. So to cast her in theory was quite scary, but then our casting director, as soon as we put out the description, she said, I know who you want. And she lives right next door to me. And it was the first girl I interviewed in an office, at the production office, and it was like, it's her. And I interviewed tons of girls after that for the same part, but it was always her. So in a way it was actually easy.
Yeah, there's all these really sort of subtle facial expressions that she makes throughout the film. I'm just wondering, in terms of directing them, what was that process like in terms of arriving at like, that's the expression I want?
It's so many details. We had like whole days where we were just shooting her face for different scenes and from different angles and for hours and hours. Try to nail each moment in context to where she is in the journey, and yeah. Right there.
Did any creepy shit happen while you were filming?
Did anything creepy stuff happen while you were filming?
I mean, I had an experience of coming in like 6 a.m. in the morning alone on set, and I was, I'm not really scared by the dark, but I walked onto set and it was like nobody there, and it was just where we were shooting the opening sequence with the burned body, and it was just lying there, and me alone in this huge storage facility with just that was really scary, but nothing else, nothing actually scary. It was just a really bad feeling.
Well, thank goodness for that. Everyone, please give it up for the filmmakers. Remember to vote for the film. It's one of 10 films for the Midnight Madness People's Choice Award. What were your tickets?